What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video on my channel Skotrix, and today as you can see we are back not on NBA 2K25 but instead on this screen here where I'm going to be ranking every single badge in NBA 2K25. As you can see we have all 40 badges right here, and I have 5 categories on this tier list here, starting from amazing, which is kind of like S tier, down to great, good, decent, and meh. I don't have any bad badge tiers because none of the badges are really bad. It's just some of them are a lot more useful than others. So the lowest I'll put any badges is in meh, because they could still be useful, but you could usually go without them. And I'll try to sort the badges out evenly. So there's 40 badges here, 5 categories. I'll try to put about 8 in each category. So just ranking them based off how good they are. But let's get right into it here. I'm going to start off in alphabetical order with Aerial Wizard right here. And this badge is okay, especially if you're a slasher. It's more of a fun badge to have, but it's not really something great that you need to have unlocked. It basically just helps with putbacks and alley-oops or whatever. So I'm gonna put it in, I'll put it in decent. It's not something that you need, but it's pretty easy to get, so you might as well get it on your build if you can, but it's not something that's super important. Next up we have Ankle Assassin right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put Ankle Assassin into the good category. It's a pretty solid badge if you have a super strong dribbling build or anything like that, but it's not something that you really need for any other sort of build. Obviously it's basically just for a primary ball handler, and it's really more of a fun badge, although it can be a very useful badge as well to stun your defenders and get by them or get open shots off of that. But next up we have Bailout. This is a badge that's been in the game for a very long time, and I'm going to also put Bailout, I'm going to put it into the meh category. I mean, it's a decent badge, but you really don't need it as long as you're smart with how you play. If you have a high enough pass accuracy to get bailout, you'll usually be able to bail out of your shots anyways, just off of your pass accuracy attribute. So you shouldn't really need it, but I mean, you're going to get it if you upgrade your pass accuracy anyway, so it's perfectly fine. If you do have it, you might as well work to get it upgraded, but bailout is sort of a meh badge. I wouldn't try to get it. If you have this skill not to get yourself stuck in bad shots, then you won't need it. So it's really more of a skill issue if you do find yourself needing bailout. But now on to Box Out Beast right here. I'm also going to put Box Out Beast. It's pretty much in between the great and the good category. I'm going to put it into good. Again, it's one of those badges that if you're upgrading your rebound, you're going to get it. So it's not really something that you can or cannot go for. But if you can get it by just upgrading your rebound a few more points and you're not sure whether or not it's worth it, I would say go for it. I'm really debating putting it into the great category, but I'm going to keep it in good because there are a lot of badges here. But Box Out Beast is a very, very solid badge. Obviously it helps you box out opponents. But now on to Break Starter here. Actually, I guess we have Versatile Visionary first. I thought I had these in alphabetical order, but I guess not. And Versatile Visionary I will put into the decent category. Or, I mean, maybe I'll put it up to the good category. It's a pretty solid badge. If you can get it, you get it. If not, then not. It's a good badge for point guards to be able to get the ball through, especially on lockdowns that have like Hall of Fame Interceptor or Gold Interceptor or something like that. But now on to Break Starter right here. I'm going to put Break Starter into the meh category. We're kind of starting off with some of the lower tier badges, but that's going to change right away. As you can see, we have some great badges coming up. Yeah, Break Starter is not really something that you need too much. I wouldn't worry about it. Now, Brick Wall is something I'll definitely put into the amazing category. Obviously with screens being such an important part of the game, you want to get your strength up if you're a big man, and you want to be able to get brick wall. If you're not going to be setting screens, obviously it's not a big deal if you don't have it, but for big man build it is super important. Challenger now I'm going to put into the great category. Challenger is obviously a pretty solid defensive badge. It will help you with your perimeter defense, your closeouts a lot, so it's a pretty solid badge. I would definitely recommend getting it on any build if you can, at least up to bronze or silver, any perimeter build at least, and even a big man build for closing out on big men. But now we have Deadeye. I'm going to put Deadeye also into the great category. Obviously a badge that's been in 2K for many years, and it is still very good. I still would recommend it for any shooting build to get up Deadeye as high as possible. Dimer is going to go into the amazing category, especially if you're playing in the rec or anything like that. But even in the park, wherever you're playing, Dimer is a super good badge. Another one that's been in the game forever, and it's pretty important, I would say, for players who are going to be handling the ball a lot and making a lot of plays for their teammates. But next up we have Float Game. I'm going to put Float Game in the meh category. I mean, if you're shooting a lot of floaters, you might want it, but I think most people don't shoot too many floaters, so you'll know if you need it. If you shoot a lot of floaters, obviously you're going to want it. If not, then you don't have to worry about it. Now handles for days. I'm going to put handles for days into the, I mean, it really is an amazing badge, but I'll put it into the great category just because, I mean, for rec where your stamina is going to get lower, it's probably a little bit more important, probably around amazing. But for park where you should have enough stamina with just this on bronze or silver, I'll just put it in great right there and leave it there. Obviously there's going to be a few more badges that have to fit into amazing, and I want to keep it pretty equal, so I will put it into great right there. Next up we have high flyer denier. This is a solid badge. I'm going to put it in decent. It's really a decent badge. It's something that if you have, it's great. If you don't have, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to get too into it here. Now, hook specialist. This is one of those badges that you'll know if you need. If you're a post scorer, obviously hook specialist is basically a top tier badge for you. If you're a guard, obviously it's completely useless pretty much. I'm going to just put it into the good category. Now we have interceptor. Definitely a very important badge. If you can get interceptor, you want to. If you have to upgrade your steal a few extra points on your build to unlock interceptor on a higher tier, you definitely should do it. It's a very important badge. Obviously getting in passing lanes, getting a lot of steals, forcing turnovers is always a great badge to have, so that's why it belongs in the top category right there. Next up we have lightning launch. I'm also going to put this in the top category as well. You need to be quick off your first step, and lightning launch is very important for that. For a slasher build, shooter build, whatever you have, it's going to be a very important badge to have for any guard build, any wing build. For big men, probably not as important, maybe like a good badge category here for big men, but for guards or forwards, it's a very important badge, and you should make sure you have it as high as possible on your build. Next up we have on ball menace. I'm going to put this in the great category. Obviously another one of those defensive badges that's very important if you're guarding on ball a lot. If you find yourself as the lockdown on your team, or if you're guarding the primary ball handler a lot, you're going to want on ball menace as high as possible. If you're a big man or a forward who doesn't guard the on ball offensive player a lot, then you don't really need to worry about this as much. But if you're guarding the on ball, obviously you want to have that as high as possible. Now we have paint patroller. I'll also put paint patroller in the great category. It's a pretty important badge to have if you're a big man. I definitely would recommend trying to get it on your build onto silver, at least if you can. If you can get up to gold or even higher, that's great, but you're definitely going to want it to be able to guard the inside on your build. And next up right here we have off ball pest. I'm going to put off ball pest, I'll put it into the decent category here to try to fill it up. It's one of the, I don't know, I'll put it into meh. It's one of those badges that you don't really need. If you get it, it's great. It can help you a little bit, but it's not something that I would prioritize getting while making a build. And next up here we have paint prodigy. I'm honestly not very sure where to put this badge. I'll put it into good. I think it's a very good badge if you're like an inside scoring big man or an inside scoring forward or something like that. I'm not sure if it makes as big of a difference for a guard. I don't think it really would. I think it's more of a badge that I would prioritize as a power forward slasher build or a inside scorer build like a post scorer or whatever. So I'm going to put it in the good category. It's definitely something you should try to get if you can, but I mean, I'm not going to put it up here with these higher ranked badges just because I don't think it's quite as important. But now it's hammer time right here. We're getting into physical finisher. I'm going to put this at the amazing category. I think it's a must-have badge for any slasher build. You're going to be going up over people. I think it's basically just as important as posterizer, if not even more important. So I'm going to put it into the amazing category right here. Next up, we have pogo stick. And I really feel like I'm starting to fill up these higher categories here. But pogo stick is one of those badges that's been in the game forever. It's a very good badge to have. It helps out with a lot of stuff for big man build. I'm going to put it into the great category. I think it's important to get pogo stick. Obviously, the more skill you have, you might not need it as much. If you can learn not to jump to try to block shots, you might not need it to go up for rebounds or second block attempts or whatever. But I'm going to put it into the great category. Actually, it's like in between great and good. I'll put it in the good category maybe. No, I'll leave it in great. It's a pretty solid badge to have for any big man build. For a guard, probably not as important there. But now on to post lockdown. I'm going to put this into the MAC category. It's good against post scorers. It's not needed. I mean, it's just something that you don't really need. You don't really need to prioritize post lockdown right there. But now we're on to post up poet. I'm going to put it into the decent category. It is a decent badge. If you have a post up build, I definitely would recommend trying to get it. If not, then don't worry about it. Now rise up, I'm going to put into the good category. Rise up is a pretty good badge. If you're an inside scoring big man, you should definitely be trying to get it as high as possible. If you need to put a few extra attributes in to get it, it is a pretty good badge. Obviously, it will help you going up after offensive rebounds. or going up in the paint and finishing strong. And now we have shifty shooter. I really don't believe shifty shooter is super important. I'm gonna put it in the decent category. I mean, I know a lot of people like having it as high as possible. I get it. You know, it's kind of a fun play style to play where you're shooting little fading mid ranges or shot creator type of shots, whatever type of badge would activate this, or whatever type of shot would activate this badge. But it's really not something that's important. If you're playing smart, you shouldn't need to take too many of those shots. So I'm just gonna leave it in the decent category. It's really just not too important. Slithery off ball, I'm gonna put in the meh category. Not something that you need. It's really good more for slashers who are trying to back cut and stuff, or shooters who are trying to come off of screens, but you don't really need it. It's not a super important badge. Now we're on to pick dodger. I'm gonna put pick dodger. I'll put it into the great category. I think it's a very good badge. Obviously, screens are super powerful in every 2K, and you're gonna need pick dodger to try to get around them. You don't need it, but it's gonna help you get around them, and it will help you play better defense as a guard, especially if you're playing twos. If you're playing twos, it's really an amazing category badge, but for rec or for threes where switching is a little bit more valuable, I would put it in the great category, or maybe even the good category. But next up we have unpluckable. I'm gonna put unpluckable into the decent category, and I know a lot of people probably will disagree with this. They'll probably say it's in the amazing category, but I mean, I just really don't think you need unpluckable that high. Obviously, if you make a build with high ball handle, you're going to get it high anyway, so you're going to have it. And if you make a build with low ball handle, you're not going to have it. I wouldn't move your ball handle up a little bit and give something else up just to get unpluckable one tier higher. I don't think it's as good or as valuable as a lot of people rate it to be. But now we have limitless range right here. This is obviously going to go into the amazing category. Very important to have this badge as high as you can get it on your build, even if you have to change your build a little bit to get it one category higher from bronze to silver, or from silver to gold. I think it's definitely worth it. Obviously, if you find yourself a foot or 2 feet or 3 feet or 4 feet behind the 3-point line, you don't want to put the ball down and try to dribble up to get a little bit closer into your player's range to shoot the shot, because by that time the defender is going to close out on you. So it's good to have this badge as high as possible so you can just let it fly from wherever you're at. But now we have layup mixmaster. I'll put this into the meh category. I don't think it's as important unless you're doing flashy layups. It kind of is like shifty shooter. If you're doing flashy layups, you know, I mean, I guess it's good, but you don't really need to do flashy layups. Stick to the fundamentals and you should be fine without it. Next up, we have immovable enforcer. I'll put this in the amazing category. I think it's a pretty solid badge. Obviously, it will help you not get bullied by slashers, and it will also prevent little shifty guards from moving around as freely when you're defending them tightly. So I think it's a pretty good badge that you should definitely try to get if you can. Now we have rebound chaser. I'll put rebound chaser. Let's see what we have left here. I'll put rebound chaser into the amazing category as well. I think it's just pretty self-explanatory whether or not you'll need this badge and what this badge does. It helps you get rebounds. So if you're a big man or a build that is going for rebounds, you should try to get this as high as possible. If you're a guard or whatever, you probably don't have to worry about it too much. I mean, it still would be nice if you could get it though. Now post fade phenom, I'm going to put into the decent category. If you're shooting a lot of post fades, great, get it as high as possible. If you're not, don't worry about it. Pretty self-explanatory badge there as well. But now we're on to mini marksman. I'm gonna put mini marksman into the good category, just because if you do get it, you're gonna be making your build super small to get it. So I don't know if it's really worth it. Obviously, shorter builds seem like they might be the meta in this game. Maybe not. It'll be more easy to tell in a month or so once the game is more developed, but yeah, I wouldn't make your build super short just to get this build or just to get this badge. But if you do happen to get it when you're making a short build, it'll obviously be a great help for your shooting. And now we're right here, we have strong handle. I'll put strong handle into the great category. I think it's a good badge to have if you can get it. If you're a guard, it might be worth putting a little bit extra attributes into strength so that you can get by, especially lockdowns who are going to have high defensive badges. Defensive badges are quite powerful in this game. And like immovable enforcer, for example, you're going to need some strength and you're going to need this badge to be able to play against those type of builds. So I'm going to put it into the great category right here. But now we are on to post powerhouse, and oh man, I really want to put this higher up. This is probably the strongest badge for post scorers. I'm going to put it into the amazing category, and maybe I'll just make some quick adjustments here If I move Rebound Chaser down, and yeah, I guess I'll just leave it like this. But yeah, this is a very, very good badge. Obviously, if you're a post scorer, it's super important to have. If you're not a post scorer, you probably don't need it. But now on to Glove. Glove is another good badge. I'll put it in the good category. It is a good badge. If you can get your steal higher and get Glove, I would definitely recommend it. It's just a good badge. Getting steals is very important, and having Glove will help with that. Next, we have Set Shot Specialist. I'm going to put this into the amazing category. I'm going to move Rebound Chaser down to great. Set Shot Specialist is super important if you are a non-primary ball handler shooting build, like a big man, a stretch big, or a forward that shoots, or a shooting guard that shoots like a two-way lock or whatever. It's a super important badge for you to have right there, and you should definitely try to get it as high as possible. Move some attributes around, get it a little bit higher if you can, or put your cap breakers in to unlock it at a higher tier if you can. It's definitely worth it. Now finally, we have one of the most fun badges to play with, Posterizer. I'm gonna put Posterizer. I mean, do I put it into decent? No, I'll put it into good. Posterizer is a good badge. It will help you get a lot of highlight dunks. It's very fun. It will also help you finish over bigger opponents, which is great, but it's not really something that you need. It's really more of a fun badge to play with. So I didn't get this tier list exactly balanced, but it's pretty fair. I have 9 in the first 3 and then a few in these lower categories. Like I said, no badge is really bad. These badges are sort of decent, and everything in the top 3 categories are very good badges. I tried to rank them as best as I could here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know if you agree or disagree with these badges, what you would move up, what you would move down. But yeah, okay, that's gonna be it for the video. All right. Peace.